You'll start understanding it soon.
Explain this to me, won't you? It's all inside the code.
Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman, and this is VS Code Explains. Linked lists are notoriously hard for folks to understand. Often in computer science or software engineering courses, folks bump up against the concept of linked lists very quickly, and they find them to be very challenging data structures. So let's see if VS Code and GitHub Copilot can make that easier for me. Let's explain. I'm here in VS Code, and I'm going to note a couple of things. You notice that I have my debug console where my output is going to appear at the bottom. I'm going to move that right now. I'm actually going to position the panel off to the right. That might make things a little bit easier for later. On the left-hand side, I've got my source code. On the right-hand side, I've got my debug console. So now when I go and I run my application with Control F5, you can see the output appearing on the right-hand side. There's the compiler, and there's my tests. Right now, I'm taking a linked list right here with the words, "The fox jumps over the dog." And I'm going to turn that into "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." That's going to be my goal at the end of this process. And in doing that, I'll hopefully learn about linked lists and see whether they're a fun data structure or a scary data structure. On the right-hand side, after each test, you can see the output of what I've got in my linked list. Now, I mentioned that linked lists are challenging to understand. So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to note that I have GitHub Copilot Chat installed. So I'm going to click on the chat icon in order to talk to GitHub Copilot Chat. Because I've set my windows up in columns like this, I find that to be a nice experience. And you can set this up any way you want. These windows in VS Code are totally flexible. GitHub Copilot greets me, and I'm going to ask a couple of questions. I'm having trouble understanding linked lists, comma. Would you please show me an ASCII visualization of a linked list and explain it to me? You see how I just talked to VS Code? Because I'm on Windows, I just pressed the Windows key and H. And Windows key H gave me the dictation tool that's built into Windows. So I just talked directly into this text box. You can try that or you can type. It's totally up to you. GitHub Copilot doesn't care. Let's see what they say. This is one of the great things about having a Copilot there, especially if it's 3 a.m, the day your assignment is due. This is an infinitely patient pair programmer who's sitting here and talking to me about my problem. And it's going to be patient. It's actually drawn an ASCII visualization. It's using text art of my linked list. You can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the node, and it's explaining it. It's almost like writing a book for me. And I can ask follow-up questions. How would I remove item number 2 from this list? Question mark. And here it's actually giving me information about how I might use the linked list remove method to remove that occurrence. And it explains it to me as well. And it's even putting it into the context of the application that I'm working on right now. Now I'm going to close that chat. And I'm just going to keep my output window on the right and my code on the left. And let's take a look at what we're trying to accomplish here. So we've got a number of different tests. We start out again with the fox jumps over the dog. And then I wrote a couple of small functions like display. And display just spins over that linked list. It just displays what's in the list. So here I'm saying display sentence. I can actually hold down the control key. See how I move my mouse over display? I'm holding control and it turns into a link. I can click on that. And now we can see the display function is literally just saying, for each word in words, it's going to output my linked list. It's spinning through my linked list of strings. Let's go back up here and take a look at what we're doing here. On test number 1, we're going to add today to the beginning of the list. Now, linked lists are really interesting. I'm going to do my own visualization right here. I'm going to clear my screen and imply that I have a number of nodes, just like our ASCII art saw us earlier. Linked lists have a link to the next item in the list. So here we have item number 1, item number 2, and so on. What I'm going to do is have a link to the next item. So what's cool about that is that I can change those links. If I wanted to insert something new, I wanted to have a whole new item, and I wanted to link this, I would change this and I'd have the next point to the new one, and then that one's next would point to this. So I'd have 1, 2, 3, and this one would become 4 and 5. So by changing these, we change that structure. We actually have methods on linked list right here. You see that one called sentence that allow us to do that work easier. We have things like add after and add before and add first and add last. So I'm making changes to my linked list here in C# using those helper functions. So here we're going to say add first. I'm going to add the word today first. So I'm expecting when I run display, it's going to say today. the fox jumps over the dog. So this was our original list, the fox jumps over the dog, and we added to the beginning of our list. And then today has a link to the and fox, and it bounces all the way down the list. If I don't understand it, I can actually select that code, right-click, and I can ask Copilot to explain this. I'm going to say, hey, Copilot, please explain this. And look at that. It actually calls it out, and it says, this code will create a linked list called sentence and adds initial elements to it. We know that. Then it calls add first, passing in the string today as the argument, thereby inserting the string today at the beginning of the linked list. And then finally, it calls the display method, passing in the sentence. This is a really great explanation. It makes it nice and clear, and I was able to get that by right-clicking, clicking Copilot, and then clicking explain this. We'll talk about these other options in Copilot in just a few minutes, so that I move farther down to my other chunks of code where I'm going to remove first, and we know that first is today, and then we're going to add something else. We're going to move the first node, sentence.first, and make it the last node. What is that going to look like? Today the fox jumps over the dog? No, it's the fox jumps over the dog today. We have moved the first node to the last. That's what's cool about these linkages. I can move these things around. It's a little more flexible than arrays. Allows you to do all kinds of interesting things. And those helper functions from C# make using linked lists even easier. GitHub Copilot chat can even help me fix things. Check this out. I tried to add the fox jumps over the lazy old dog, but I actually misspelled lazy. That's not a code change, that's actually a string mistake. Let's see if GitHub Copilot can help me with that. I'll click fix this. It's going to say I'm happy to help. What's the issue? It should add lazy and old to the sentence. Look at that. Because I told it what I wanted, it realized what I was doing was not what I intended. And it actually suggests that I delete this line and add these lines. And now I can accept or discard. So it changed 3 lines, and I can even upvote it as helpful. Now it's worth pointing out that I've been calling these tests, but they're not really tests. This is just me writing some strings out. I could write actual tests around this, and those tests can be generated by GitHub Copilot. I want to confirm that the words lazy and old appear in that string. Look at this. It actually generated XUnit tests for me in C#, asserting that that sentence contains the words that I want. VS Code and GitHub Copilot chat are helping me better understand linked lists by patiently explaining how they work, sometimes generating fixes, documentation, or tests. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can accomplish with GitHub Copilot chat, and don't forget to check out the other episodes in the series.